Call to order, the New Kent County Board of Supervisors, June 14, 2021 meeting to order. Ms. Page, would you lead us in the invocation and pledge, please?
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you in the sweet and most precious name of Jesus. Dear God, we come first with grateful and humble hearts, thanking you, Lord, for this day. Lord God, we thank you for providing for this county and keeping all of this safe as was supposed to be in your will, Lord God. Father, we invite you to this meeting tonight. We ask that everything that is said and done will be done in decent and in order. And Lord God, we pray that the decisions that will be made will be pleasing unto you. And these and all blessings we ask in your name, say amen.
Amen.
Let us do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Page. Ms. Watkins, will you call the roll?
Mr. Evelyn?
Here.
Mr. Tiller?
Here.
Ms. Page?
Here.
Mr. Steers?
Here.
And Mr. Lockwood?
Here.
All right. I'd like to welcome the few people that are here and everybody watching at home. I guess we're doing a good job. Nobody's complaining too much. Yeah, I know. We don't have any public hearings tonight, so let's roll through this agenda. The first item is the consent agenda. Does anybody have any changes or comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Ms. Page.
if there are no corrections, deletions, or discussion, I move that consent agenda be recorded as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Page. Any comments? If none, Ms. Watkins, poll the members, please.
Mr. Tiller?
Aye.
Ms. Page?
Aye.
Mr. Steers?
Aye.
Mr. Lockwood?
Aye.
And Mr. Evelyn?
Aye. Next item, citizens' comment period. Anybody signed up? No. Dr. Nichols?
I promise I'm not coming to complain. Good evening, board members. I really just wanted to take a moment as we close out the school year to say thank you. This has been probably one of the toughest years education has faced, and we honestly couldn't have done what we did without the partnership when it comes to PPE, partnership when it comes to vaccination clinics, and partnering to utilize the high school. To think that in the middle of this pandemic, we're building a new elementary school. Just visited the site today. We are on target and we are under budget and we're out of the ground. To our budget being fully funded. I just can't thank you enough for that partnership and that foundation. We had somebody speak at our board meeting last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, and I got offended because he was talking about superintendents coming to New Kent. The superintendents come to New Kent, they go somewhere bigger and better. You can find somewhere bigger, but you're not going to find better. You're not going to find partnership like this. So when I talked to the board 2 weeks ago about an extension 2 years in, I jumped at the opportunity. We didn't rent a house here, we bought a house here. We're establishing firm roots and a big foundation because we want to do work for many years to come. That's made possible because of this partnership. My first meeting that I ever came to was here, and I promised partnership. And I just want to thank you because you've returned that tenfold. So I'm excited about what we're doing. I'm excited about the partnership we have with Mr. Hathaway and the finance team. And I've come from a larger district. Bigger is not bad. What we have here is special and it's unique. And I know if your office is like my office, you don't have many people beat you out the door to say thank you. So I just wanted to take a minute this evening. But I just closed. I don't need anything else right now. Just to say thank you. And if you ever need anything at any time, I'm all in on this community and I'm all in on this partnership. So thank you guys. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols.
Thank you.
All right, no one else has signed up. I'll close the citizens' comment period. Next item is the residency administrator's report. Mr. Wynn?
Oh, that in the 240.
Yeah.
Like on.
When you start going to the bottom of the bridge,
Oh my gosh. Y'all couldn't hear me?
We could,
Huh?
I could.
Oh, I'm sorry. You want me to start over?
No.
Okay, good enough. The primary mowing cycle, the first primary mowing cycle was completed a couple weeks ago. And the crews went right into the secondary system. They're working on the secondary systems right now. We did have some success on Farmers Drive. We basically cleaned 3,282 feet of pipe on Farmers Drive. And we pulled 7 miles of ditch on Farmers Drive. Although I understand the storm this past week, it didn't look like it, but they were out there better than a week, and they replaced one pipe out there too. So it took more than one crew. It wasn't New Kent. It was about 3 of our crews working together to make it all happen, and I think it was pretty well successful. Pavement marking was completed on Olivet Church Road. Thank you, Ron. That's a long time coming. It's there now, so I'm glad that's over with. Route 60 patching is ongoing. There's a section that the contractor is working on now, eastern part coming back westbound. They've been saw cutting the concrete out there. They will start some patching this week during the day. Not full depth patching. Next week they'll do full depth patching, where they'll pull the slabs out and put base mix and intermediate mix in, and then after they finish all that patching work, they'll come back and pave it. So that'll be a good item to complete. That only leaves us one more section going to 249, which I'm assured that's going to be done next year. So, one smart scale item, a project item, North Courthouse. That's the shared use path. That's ongoing. They're doing some utility relocations out there. Philip tells me that it went to add last week. So with that said, it'll probably start late September, 1st of October. We did meet with Mr. Lockwood and Mr. Bailey last week, wasn't it? About the speed limit change on Route 30. And we're in the process of ordering the signs and that sort of thing to upgrade the 50-mile-an-hour speed limits. And we're going to add another sign that says reduce speed ahead, 50. So hopefully that order will come in quick where we can get it done as soon as possible. So other than that, I really don't have anything else to add, unless y'all have some questions or anything.
Ms. Steers?
Mr. Wynn, first of all, thanks for being here and thanks for the work you guys are doing. I talked to Joe Terry last week, and we have some property that Mr. Poindexter bought on Courthouse Road, 155 south of Colonial Downs, and the property's been cleared, which is pretty much his signature way of letting people know he bought the land. And he says it's not that he doesn't like trees, but he just wanted to return New Kent County more to the pre-Civil War era, the way the county looked then. I wasn't here then, so I don't know what it looked like, but apparently there was a lot more farmland and stuff like that. But there's about 6 trees right next to the highway. They're leaning over. They've been leaning over for years. You just never noticed it because of all the other trees.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And
I wish he would have gotten with us. I'd have flagged for him to cut those trees down.
well, what we're trying to do now is getting you guys together. We're also waiting for Dominion Power because you got power lines that are across the street there.
Right.
And they possibly may have to disconnect the power through there temporarily in the event some trees fall or something like that. But anyway, hopefully we can get all this put together either tomorrow or Wednesday. I know Joe said that he was on standby. As soon as he gets the signal, he'll drop whatever he's doing to do it. So I would like to try to get him out this week so the phone calls will stop coming.
So is Dominique gonna cut them?
Beg pardon?
Who's gonna cut them?
No, his logger is going to cut them, the
Oh,
guy
okay.
that's cutting. But he just,
Okay,
he
Poindexter's
said-
lawyer,
yeah.
loggers
Yeah.
will cut them, okay.
Yes, sir. But, you know, it's just going to be a matter of getting the three of you together to stop the traffic, get
Yeah.
the trees cut and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've done that several times for
Yeah.
logging companies too. Because when you leave trees like that, you get a bad storm, they invariably will come in the
Right.
road. So,
Right. Yeah, well, they look precarious because they're hanging over I mean, the roots have not been disturbed at all. So,
Right.
I mean, they're not going anywhere right now.
But
You know?
they don't have any resistance to wind now,
Yeah.
because the trees are gone. So.
Yeah. So, but anyway, that's it. That's it. Thank you.
Tough to be that outside tree.
Yeah.
Ms. Tiller?
I just wanted to thank you, Marshall, for your quick response on the potholes last week. And, is there any update on Henpeck Road and that bottom as to when?
We got the pipe,
Oh, okay.
just waiting for a chance to do it. We got 2 large structures we're putting in up in Goochland, and as soon as that's done, probably sometime in July when we replace those pipes.
Okay.
Upsizing them, an extra foot, probably will raise the road a little bit just to get them in there. That structure is probably half full of silt right now, so that should help the situation in that bottom.
Somebody the other day said, why don't they just build a bridge then through there? I was like, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But
No.
it's a good idea, but not a bridge. But thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Page? Ms. Lockwood?
I just want to thank you too, Mr. Wynn, the work that was done on Farmers Drive. You know, there was a little bit of washover from that storm we got, but it wouldn't have mattered with the way the rain came down. So all in all, it's an incredible improvement on that road. So I want to thank you and the crews that got that done. And also thank you guys for meeting me and Chief Bailey out there last week, get the signage squared away. So good job and thank you.
All right.
All right. Thank you for being here.
Y'all have a good month.
All right. All right. We have 2 presentations tonight. Central Virginia Transportation Authority Memorandum of Agreement. Mr. Hathaway?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. You have in your packet the proposed agreement with the Central Virginia Transportation Authority. As you are aware, the 2020 General Assembly created the Central Virginia Transportation Authority. This agreement before you deals with how the money is being distributed and our agreement on how we're going to use that funding, as well as the reporting that's required with receiving the funding. Back in October, there began the Richmond region began collecting a gas tax. It's 7.6 cents on vehicle fuels. I believe it's 7.8 on diesel. And actually, that was July. Back in October, the state, this Richmond region, also collected an additional sales tax to fund the Central Virginia Transportation Authority. With that revenue that is collected, 50% of that revenue comes directly back to the locality in which it was collected from. 35% of that revenue goes to a regional pot to fund regional projects, transportation projects, and 15% of the funding goes to the Greater Richmond Transit Authority. Currently, New Kent County has a little over $1.3 million in our bank account, which comes from that 50%. That's collected. We receive roughly about $160,000 to $180,000 a month, which with the summer season starting, we anticipate that will increase. The majority of our revenue comes from the gas tax. In the resolution, it lists items that the funding can be spent on. including staffing, road improvement, maintenance, and new road projects as well. There is a reporting requirement, an annual report and certification that is required, and our finance team has been participating in the Central Virginia Finance Committee meetings, and they meet about monthly, and they were actually part of putting this document together and the reporting procedures. We feel that there are no issues with New Kent complying with the requirements within the Memorandum of Understanding. Therefore, I am recommending that this document be adopted. All other localities, the 9 localities in the Richmond region, are being asked to adopt this same very document. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hathaway. Ms. Page, you've been probably know more about this than anybody.
Mr. Chairman, New Kent will be getting a share. We do have a Central Virginia Transportation Authority has set up a policy board. As Assistant County Administrator is a part of that committee. Also, they will be setting up personnel with the possibility of executive director, assistant executive director, and a financial personnel. So I'll be a part of that ad hoc committee for that. But, and just as important is that we understand that the funding that will be coming to this locality will be funding, and we will have guidelines that we have to, that we'll have to follow. And a part of what our Assistant County Administrator is doing is helping to set those guidelines up. And we will be doing projects based on priorities. So this memorandum agreement is the same one that will be going to all of the different localities. I do ask that when we look at it and we look at 15% going to Greater Richmond Transit, that we look at how that affects New Kent County. Even though we have Bay Transit, we can make we can have a voice in connectivity to Greater Richmond Transit. And I think that there should be a voice that that this county makes, because we have so many residents that have doctor appointments in Richmond, that have appointments in maybe not in Chelsea, but way that they can connect to get to maybe the Petersburg, Hopewell area. And so all suggestions for connectivity for transit would be appreciated. And those are all the comments that I have at this time.
Anybody else have any comments? Yes, sir, Ms. Lockwood.
I just would like to, we've discussed this a little bit, maybe in private, but I think with the funds coming into the county, that it's going to be critical that we have a clearly defined process and priority process to make sure that this money is being utilized properly, and also that it's not being utilized in areas that would fall under VDOT's domain for maintenance and repair. So I think it's going to be critical for us to establish those guidelines and process up front. So I'd like to see us have that kind of defined before we even look at the pot of money.
Yeah, I agree with Ms. Lockwood. Maybe Mr. Hathaway, you could work. Who's going to be recommending? Is it the road viewers or?
Well, we're working on that process actually to bring before you at an upcoming meeting.
Okay, so we're going to spend some time talking about it and get it work. Okay.
And we want to mirror the CVTA's ranking process too, which is currently still being worked out and defined. But that will be part of our process. But as you mentioned, the Board of Road Viewers, that's what I do envision as far as having that citizen engagement by having the Board of Road Viewers be that committee tasked with ranking projects and bringing recommendations to you for approval. I also envision us hiring a transportation planner, which can be, that salary can be funded through the Central Virginia Transportation Funds. That position would serve as staff support to the Board of Road Viewers and in charge of reporting and project management as well.
Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, if I could add to Supervisors Lockwood's point, we would have a criteria and a ranking process, and that is because we absolutely have to keep in the forefronts. And I will always remind you that we have a stretch of interstate that travels through New Kent County that's a hurricane route that our citizens would be trapped in the case of an emergency. So even with 50% going, 35% going to the authority itself, it may be that they would look at the locality itself, still putting in some funding to add to the $220 million to widen 64 through New Kent County. So absolutely, not only will CVTA pass down guidelines, but the county will put into place guidelines, and they will be reviewed by CVTA. Mr. Chairman, if there is no other discussion, I would like to make a motion, Mr. Chairman. I move to direct the county administrator to execute the proposed Central Virginia Transportation Authority Memorandum of Agreement.
Thank you, Ms. Page. Any other comments? If none, Ms. Watkins, poll the members, please.
Ms. Page?
Aye.
Mr. Steers?
Aye.
Mr. Lockwood?
Aye.
Mr. Tiller?
Aye.
And Mr. Evelyn?
Aye. Next presentation is the approval of new Virginia Compensation Board allocated position for the Sheriff's Department. Mr. Hathaway?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. After we advertised our proposed budget, FY22 budget for public hearing, we received notice from the Virginia Compensation Board that the Sheriff's Office would be receiving an additional $35,149 to assist with personnel. As I mentioned, we had already advertised our budget. It was pretty late in the process. And it's up to the board as to whether or not you have to use that for a new position. So we determined that we would deal with that after the adoption of the budget. You have two options. You can use this towards a new position, or because we supplement the salaries of our existing deputies and law enforcement personnel, we can just basically add that to their salaries. Basically, we just go to our general fund. What I'm recommending tonight is that we do fund a new position, a new deputy. The total cost of a deputy is approximately $60,000. So there is another roughly $25,000 that is needed. In working with the Sheriff's Office, he's informed me that he can make up that difference within his existing budget. Therefore, no additional funding would be needed to fund a new position. Also, during our CIP project, we approved $195,000 for 3 vehicles. The sheriff came before you and requested additional salary increases and informed us at the time that he would rather have the additional salary increases as opposed to the 3 personnel that we had originally approved. So you do have money that's already budgeted for 3 vehicles in your CIP, so no additional CIP funds would be needed to fund this new position to buy a vehicle for this deputy as well. Other costs associated with the position, approximately $5,000 for equipment and supplies. Again, the sheriff feels that he can accommodate that within his existing approved budget, so therefore no additional funding would be needed for the new position. I am recommending this position because I do believe our sheriff has a staffing issue, and this would go towards addressing that. At this time, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions? Mr. Steers?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is this one-time money, the 35,000, is that one-time money?
No, it's ongoing money that we will receive from the contract.
Okay, thank you.
And anybody else? I think I was talking to the sheriff a week or so ago, and I think he's got some people that are retiring that's been there for a while, and I think that's where you were going to find some of that money. Am I misspeaking there, Sheriff?
Actually, be not hiring a vacant part-time position. We would take that funding that's already budgeted for a part-time position and moving that to supplement this.
Okay.
Wonderful.
All right. Any other comments, questions? Well, Mr. Hathaway, the sheriff? I'll entertain a motion.
If not, Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the proposed new deputy position for the New Kent County Sheriff's Office.
Thank you, Mr. Steers. Any other comments?
Nope.
Ms. Watkins, poll the members.
Mr. Steers?
Aye.
Mr. Lockwood?
Aye.
Mr. Tiller?
Aye.
Ms. Page? And Mr. Evelyn?
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Hathaway.
Thank you.
Elected officials reports, Ms. Steers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As most of you know by now, the 2021 graduating class from New Kent County High School did get to have a prom this year. It was certainly not school related, and we had a group together. We were fortunate enough to get Rocket Hot Campground graciously loaned us the Rocket Dome, and we got a DJ, we had it catered, and if you could have seen the look on these kids' faces that night, some of them haven't seen each other in a year, and just to see the expression, the hugs and the kisses and everything, it was well worth it. But it was a great success, and just glad to know that our kids kind of got a little bit back to normal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Steers. I know you had a lot to do with organizing that, everything, so appreciate that. I'm sure all the kids did as well. Ms. Tiller?
No, sir.
Ms. Page?
Of course. Mr. Chairman, I have several things, well, more than several things. First, I was asked to announce that Colonial Downs and Rosie's will be sponsoring a job fair each Saturday. They are indeed, like everyone, especially in the hospitality field, looking for seasonal workers, and they do have a $500 incentive that will be paid at the end of the racing season. So they will be at the Colonial Downs Rosies in New Kent each Saturday during the month of June. Congratulations to New Kent High School graduates, class of 2021, to the school board superintendent. How great was it to have New Kent graduation at New Kent County? So thank you, sir, for the efforts of you, Dr. Nichols, and the school board for graduation on last week. Also, would like to thank the New Kent County staff for the patience and the cooperation and transitioning between buildings during the time of the repair of the HVAC system. Hopefully within the next week we can get everybody back in place and as normal as we absolutely can be. We do have something that I'm really excited about, and that is we have a food pantry, and it is called the Little Free Pantry. And I do have a statement from the group that wanted to stay anonymous, and they asked that I would read, and it reads, New Kent County is now home to a Little Free Pantry located in the parking lot of the Department of Social Services building. The Little Free Pantry offers a new way for New Kent neighbors to take what they need and give what they can. The New Kent Little Free Pantry accepts shelf-stable food, personal hygiene items, small household supplies, and pet food. Unlike the larger food distribution pantries, use of the Little Free Pantry requires no registration and has no eligibility requirements. Accessibility is 24/7, 365 days to whoever needs it. The pantry provides a discreet solution to those who find themselves in need, as well as a way for small individual donations to make a difference. The developers of the New Kent Little Free Pantry are grateful for the support, the insight, and enthusiasm provided by all county administration and staff, including but not limited to Nancy Goodman, Suzanne Garble, Patricia Page, and Rodney Hathaway. The pantry is monitored by a group of volunteers who love New Kent and who believe in the power and positivity of working together. And then they have a website, which is www.littlefreepantry.org. And it's a kit building. And if you get the opportunity to ride by, it's located right in front of the Human Resources building, and they have decorated it and staffed it, and it is for it's located there because they wanted a place that was visible, but a place that those in need would feel comfortable going to get the items that they may need. And on the note of unemployment, in April of 2020, the Capital Workforce shared that in New Kent County, our employment status was 5.5%. Well, April of 2021, we're at 2.98%. We have 351 persons in our county that have not given up looking for a job, because this number does not include them and those that have registered for unemployment. So we keep in mind as we be about a day that there are some that are less fortunate than we are. And then to the Four Seasons community in their time of bereavement for a New Kent resident, Miss Linda Martin, and her passing. And she is a soul that spoke very loudly about what she wanted, what she needed, and what the county needed, and her love for the county. And she will absolutely be missed. And Mr. Chairman, that is the conclusion of my report.
Thank you, Ms. Page. Mr. Lockwood?
I have a couple things. I know I'll never be able to compete with Ms. Page. I just wanted to also kind of comment on the graduation as well. The actual ceremony at the high school was just a wonderful way to end this school year. I know the prom, I'm sure they had a great time, but it was just a real incredibly positive turnout. The parents were all screaming and hollering every time their kids. Yeah, that burst of thunder right in the middle of it got everybody's attention. And I really would like to just, while you're here, Dr. Nichols, the 4 young ladies that sang the national anthem did a beautiful. I was awestruck. They just did a beautiful job with that. So I just want to thank you guys for pulling that off, and a real sense of community in that hall. So thank you. I just want to also comment as well about Rosie's Colonial Downs. They are a great community partner, and they're doing a program this month partnering with Virginia Natural Gas. They're calling it Fill a Bag for Proclaiming Grace. So if you make a donation of food at Rosie's to Proclaiming Grace, they will enter your name in a drawing to win a Coach bag and $250. So I don't know what I would do with a Coach bag, but
Give it to me.
there you go. Problem solved. But it's another example of how, you know, Rosie's and others in the community are really partners in our community. So I just wanted to give them a heads up on that. And then lastly, I just want to wish all the fathers out there, and even the ones that aren't out there anymore, a happy Father's Day coming up this weekend. So thank you.
Thank you. I too would just like to wish all the graduates the best of luck. I'm sorry I wasn't able to attend. I had an emergency situation, but anyway, congratulations to them all. Next, staff reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I do have a few items for staff report that I'll pass out. All right. The first item. The first item is a request from Bridging Communities. I'm sorry. It's a request from Rappahannock Community College for the establishment of a welding and machining class.
Guess you weren't gonna need to worry, Brandon.
All right.
There he is, like a press conference.
Excuse me. You have before you, well, I've received a request from Rappahannock Community College for permission to lease the historic school cafeteria space. It's roughly about 4,000 square feet. The use would be for a welding and machining class that they would like to provide for the community and region. Rappahannock Community College is in the process of applying for grant funding through the Go Virginia program, and they've asked, I just found out last week that there is a county match requirement for the grant. Rappahannock Community College has requested that the county's match be waiving the existing lease for a period of 5 years. I'm proposing something slightly different, and this is in the letter that you have before you for review. Definitely, their request should be considered, but I'm also proposing that instead of waiving the entire lease amount for 5 years, that we waive the new space that they would be using for the welding and machining class, which would be approximately 4,000 square feet. Given our current lease rate amount, that additional 4,000 square feet would total $32,680 in an annual lease payment, and that's the amount that I've based our fee waiver on for a period of 5 years, which totals $163,400. If you approve that, then this letter that you have before you will be signed and included with the grant package. If this is not approved, then we will not obviously sign this letter and include this in the grant application. And I'd just like to add, too, the reason this is being brought to you in the fashion that it is, again, I just found out about it last week, and the application is due the end of this week. So there's a very tight timeline to turn this around.
Mr. Vice Chair, may I speak?
Please.
I have just done everything I could this evening, and this just about does it for me. It becomes, we mulled over and we went through and we studied and prayed over a budget and just got our budget approved. They came to us and asked for the space, and we said, okay, nothing. Ever since I've been on this board, we have waived, thank you so much, waived funding for lease. I am appreciative of this institution being here. However, I have the privilege to know that there was quite a bit of funding especially over the last year or so. And I haven't read anywhere where the residents that attend from New Kent County receive any reduction in tuition. I haven't read that anywhere. I haven't seen it, and if I'm wrong, then I'm ready to be wrong. But you ask us for one thing, and then you come back with, oh, by the way, we want you to do something else. Well, my question becomes this. If you can't pay your current rate, your current rent, and you haven't been able to pay your current rent, then how are you going to pay rent for additional space that, with everything that I've researched on this, we don't even know if we can have this type of class in the building that is being requested? I'm just confused. I just don't, I mean, I'm just confused right now. I don't know how in the world we could sit back and say it's okay to do this. I mean, if we had to match, then to me, tell me the whole story when you're telling me the story. Don't come back and give me bits and pieces of it and expect for me to fully support what you're asking. And that's what we're getting. It's like, okay, we're going to do this. Thank you for letting us do it. Oh, by the way, we need some money from you. Oh, by the way, we don't really want it. We just don't want to pay our rent. That's not good business. And I don't care what you're running, that's not good business. And that's not a good situation to put this board in.
Anyone else have any?
Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Tillman?
I don't thank Ms. Page for saying that because I was trying to come up with a way to say it without being as discreet as she was. So thank you, Ms. Page, for saying that. They have asked for free rent ever since they came here, correct? Have they actually?
That's correct. They have not paid rent.
A penny?
Yeah. Well, they paid for their expenses, power, electricity, water, and sewer. But they have not paid us. We've not received a lease payment yet.
That's what I thought. Okay. I'm with Ms. Page on that. I have a hard time. They keep asking for more and more space, but yet if they're doing this, they've got to have registration coming from somewhere to support these classes. So maybe they're just not charging enough for their classes if they can't afford to pay rent for all the square footage that they have here in the schools. So I'm with Ms. Page on that one.
Anyone else?
Well, this is a community college, so don't they receive most of their funding from the state in addition to tuition?
Rappahannock Community College is part of the Virginia Community College system. So I don't know how much funding they receive, but I imagine they do receive funding from the state.
They do.
And their build out for this welding class would be at their expense.
Yes.
Not totally, because it's a grant, and they want some of the money from us.
Well, they don't want any money from us, do they? They just want us to buy. They just want us to
waive
to waive the.
lease payment.
They don't
Well,
want
it's
to pay that rent.
Yeah, I mean they want.
So that means they want money.
I mean,
Yes. Yes, ma'am. You're
I'm just
correct.
trying to be clear.
No, I just want to make sure, that you alluded to the question whether the facility would even be adequate for what they're trying to do. I mean, if they're going to be doing indoor welding and all that stuff, there's a lot of ventilation control and all that needs to happen. That gets expensive really quick. So I would want to make sure that, if we decided to do something, that they had sufficient funds to follow through with it. We take that space offline and they modify part of it and it doesn't work, then, who's going to be holding the bag for that? So I would say to not put a totally negative spin on it here, that, the need for qualified and certified welders anywhere in the United States right now is phenomenal, and it's an amazing opportunity for young people to get in on a trade like that. Is there any indication of what sort of certification in welding they would be offering, or are we talking, a amped up shop class, or is this actually going to be providing certification for welding?
From our conversation, this would actually provide the certification for welding too. I'm not sure what that certification program entails.
Okay.
But yes, they would lead with the needed certification for a welding program. Yeah, this is this was a bit of a surprise to us as well, as far as their requests. I will tell you though, part of the grant application requires letters from businesses, and we have received letters from several large businesses in the county and region that spoke highly of the need for this type of skill set in the community.
I can tell you firsthand, there's a huge need for welders in here. My son graduated last year, and I know 3 of his classmates are actually in a welding school now. So, I mean, it's a trade that could be very lucrative and needed. I agree with Ms. Lockwood. That's what I was going to say. So,
Well, with that, is there any way to open the door for some discussion about, Ms. Page alluded to the lack of, reduced tuition to the county and all that. I mean, even for them to provide something that kind of recognizes what we're doing for them, it would be nice for them to at least offer some scholarship or something to,
I do know there's some, I do know there's a need, but I know we have some space issues as well, and I'm kind of like what you said. I don't know if that's the best place to put a welding facility. I mean, I could support it, but
well, not
that
just
location.
That, but, at what point are we going to be paying rent to somebody else for county space that we need? I mean, the Apex building is a good example of that, and as much as I'd love to see something like this in the county, I think it'd be phenomenal for us. But we're also kind of taking it out of our pocket, putting it into theirs, and there doesn't seem to be much concession on their side. So,
Mr. Chairman, for me, it goes back to last month. It's all about the process. I mean, we have a letter, and so you came to us because you want to do something. And we said, okay, you could do it. I mean, it's not going to cost us anything. Then you come back and say, oh, yeah, we can do it, but we want you to do this. And yeah, because by the way, it's going to cost you this, but don't give us the money. We'll have enough if you don't charge us any rent. Well, if you haven't paid your rent since you've been here, then after 5 years, where are you going to pay your rent? And at the end of the day, I know that they need welders and they need carpenters and they need diesel mechanics. I know all of the needs, but you come back and you say, and I need you to tell me this by the end of the week. So you don't give us time to do the research that you're talking about, Mr. Lockwood, because we're not going to be together again. We don't have the time to do our due diligence with this. And at the end of the day, it's still taxpayers' money that we're talking about. And so, oh yeah, I believe in technical skills. I'm a believer. I don't think that everybody's meant for a 4-year institution, and I truly do. But I believe that to go on the bottom floor, the old cafeteria, and you put a wellness shop, we don't even have a clue, and obviously they don't, how much it's going to take to even make that building safe enough to have welding in there and ventilation. And I just think that I can't support it.
Well, can
I
we
got-
get them to pay $32,680 of their original lease, and we'll cover this one?
5 years.
Well,
I mean, we forgave-
actually, to that question though, you have not forgiven the upcoming lease payment that's due August 1st, I believe.
So can we just let them know that we'll be glad to cover this as long as they realize they're gonna be getting a bill for $32,680 for next year's rent?
Well, actually, the upcoming
That's not what
lease
their rent
payment
is.
that's due
I know.
August 1st is for 8,000 square feet, and that lease payment is roughly $65,000.
But historically, we've always forgiven that or waived it, right?
In the past, we have, yeah. But we're not committed to waiving it this year. I mean, the board has that. They can if they choose.
Does anybody, doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of support for this.
Well, I mean, we're so fortunate to have them here,
Yeah.
you know, and I know there are kids that come from all over the area to attend classes there. We're not utilizing the space now for anything else, right?
No, it's currently being used for storage with the school program, high school program, not our high school, but Bridging Communities program.
Right.
It's currently using it for storage.
And I mean, I agree with what's been said, you know, welders are needed nationwide, and, you know, and I'm sure that they go in there and make sure the building was safe before they ever started trying to teach welding classes. You know, they're supposed to be educators, right? So you would assume they'd be educated to know that.
What about excuse me,
Go ahead.
what about like the old art shop or any, I mean, what's going on?
That space is currently being used. The school is actually renovating that building to create additional office space there for their special services division. I think that's the correct name of it.
Sorry about that, Mr. Steers. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
But
sorry.
that whole building is being utilized by the schools.
I'd like to see us try to find a way to do it, but also, you know, maybe in a roundabout way, collecting some rent over there.
You don't have enough time to do it. You got to make a decision tonight.
No, I know. I'm talking about this. It's basically two different leases. So, you know, the other one is coming up in a couple of months. We make a decision on whether or not to forgive all or some of it then at least we can bring in some rental revenue from the project as a whole.
Yeah, Mr. Hefty, would Rappahannock Community College be able to give discounts to some students and not to others?
That's a good question. That's a question for Rappahannock Community College.
I mean, that was saying something that our kids don't even get any discount or anything, but I don't know, would that be legal for them to even do that?
There's nothing here to talk about.
Okay.
So how many scholarships have New Kent County students gotten
From
in
Rappahannock.
the last 5 years? I can tell you. I sit on that. None.
Is there, Dr. Nichols, is there any other places? I mean, I know you're utilizing all the spaces. I mean, I like the idea of it, but the area where they're asking for it is the cafeteria. Is there any other space where Timmy Pollock's? I mean, everything you have over there is full, right?
It is, and then, so we are redoing the art room with storage for our instructional space so that we can actually pull those folks together and actually give us a little bit of room at the old courthouse and allow us to kind of hang on there a little bit longer. As far as space, looking at welding, I mean, you guys hit the nail on the head. That's less than ideal. Having been involved in some welding programs, that's a tough one to pull off. We've actually looked at that space. I think everybody's looked at that space as a concern with RCC is they've had limited conversations with superintendents about some of this stuff too. So we were asked to sign a letter of support. We actually weren't in the loop on the planning of it. So we did, not that we don't support. My son is in the trades. My oldest is in aviation maintenance. It's a great program. I would love to sponsor it and be a part of it. I would also selfishly like to have a leg up for our kids to get first ranks into the school, either in the day or night. So a lot more than you asked for. Sorry about that.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, that's good. All right, I think we beat this thing to death. I don't think it's any support for this.
All right.
Right?
Fine by me.
Is this option 2?
Oh, this is, and I apologize. I was given this letter a few days ago, and I just got it to Mr. Hathaway. It was from the chairman of Powhatan, and they're asking for some regional support about asking the governor to lift the unemployment. So I told her that I would present it to this board.
When you say lift the unemployment, you're referring to the supplemental?
The supplemental, not the, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I can speak for myself. I mean, people that need unemployment, I'm 100% for it, and I think that's set up there for a reason. But I've lost 2 employees that I was paying labor $17 an hour. They said they could make $17.50 at home. So, personally, I can understand it. So, it's hard to. I could hire 25 people right now. And I hear that all around all the small businesses that I speak with.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, may I?
Yeah.
So I have the opportunity to sit on the Richmond Regional Tourism, where the topic of discussion the last couple of months has been the inability to for Richmond to rebound and the region because of the current unemployment stipulations or guidelines that's being out. I had the privilege of sitting on last Friday at Capital Workforce. Same thing, the number of people that have not applied for jobs and the increase in people since the guidelines have been handed down that you have to seek employment from at least 2 employers a week. Like you, I don't employ all the thousands of people. As a matter of fact, nobody do I employ, Mr. Evelyn. But I will tell you this. My feelings, and I don't mind expressing them, is that we have people out here that have been struggling since March of 2020. They have taken care of their families, and they were laid off from work. And they got no support being their hours reduced. Not laid off, their hours were reduced. And they struggled to hold on. And so now we struggle to get people to come to work. And New Kent is fortunate, but so many businesses, we have a new restaurant that's open that we had one young lady that worked 2 days, all day by herself, and she did an immaculate job because we cannot get help because you can make more money sitting at home than you can going to work. And so, yes, sir, I fully support writing a letter.
Well, it's a draft. Well, I think Powhatan approved it, and this is the letter that they sent, and it's some draft that Mr. Hathaway or Mr. Hefty can draft up if the board so sees to do so, and then we could approve it later. I mean, there's nothing I want to do tonight. Just get some input, see if there's.
And it's my understanding that Powhatan would like to include New Kent in their letter, so it's not from Powhatan County, but it's from the entire region. And they've reached out to the other localities within the Richmond region as well, so that we can send one letter to the governor.
Yeah, I just want to kind of second, I work in a lot of restaurants and hotels and all that, and they are, I know restaurants that can't open for lunch because they don't have enough staff, or they have to close early because they're killing the staff they do have. So I hear it all day long, people saying, I have the business, I don't have the employees to fulfill the need. And it's really tough. There are some people out there that are still in a bad way with unemployment. But I think that, when you look at the states that refuse the funding up front, they're rebounding at a much quicker rate. Their people are coming back to work. And I know thousands of jobs that could be filled tomorrow if people just showed up to go to work. And, it's kind of like, we're killing businesses for the sake of a few more months of unemployment. This runs out in September, which is, historically when our tourist season starts to wane, and, that's when they're going to come back to work. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So I would say I definitely support this as well.
Mr. Chairman, I fully support it. Do we need to make a motion, or we just?
I think we need to have we need to draft something and then approve. We don't have anything really to approve the. Oh, it's
Yeah, we'll draft something and bring it back to you.
Yeah, I think we need to approve whatever's sent. Right. Or can we just do a consensus?
It's up to the pleasure of the board. You can, by consensus, we can draft something, bring it back for your approval, or you can have a motion to authorize.
Let's do that.
Let's go ahead and do it.
Let's do that.
Just go ahead and do it.
Okay.
And then,
Save some time.
if you want to approve it after it's drafted, that's.
Okay.
And there, and there's no guarantee that the governor's going to.
It's not going to matter. I saw Secretary of Agriculture and Forestry, Bettina Ring, about 3 weeks ago at a expo, and I was telling her the situation, and she about trying to find help, and she said she's going all over the state, and she's hearing it. And she said the governor is working on it. I think this week they actually have to prove that they're applying. So that's one step, and so I think he's aware of it. Hopefully he'll move a little quicker than September, like Mr. Hathaway goes. So, but she agreed with me on that. Okay, well, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to authorize the county administrator and county attorney to draft a letter supporting, shoot, I lost her name. Carmack. Karen Carmack, from Powhatan County.
Thank you, Mr. Tiller. Ms. Watkins, poll the members.
Mr. Lockwood,
Aye.
Mr. Tiller,
Aye.
Ms. Page, Mr. Steers,
Aye.
and Mr. Evelyn.
Aye.
And I just want to inform you as another item too, over the past couple of months, you've heard a presentation from the Loggers Association and a presentation from me regarding the elderly and disabled tax exemption. The Loggers Association has requested waiving the personal property tax for logging equipment. I have prepared ordinance amendments for those, which would require public hearings. And if there's no objections, I'll schedule those public hearings for our July meeting for consideration. It doesn't commit you to any position at this point. But we've heard two presentations, so therefore the next step would be public hearing.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Tiller.
is that one of the public hearings for the planning commission meeting next week? Or
There are some potential items coming from the planning commission. They meet next Monday, and if they take action, there could be additional items for the agenda. These items are not required to go to the Planning Commission. So on top of these two, you could have, I believe, 3 more items for your consideration.
Ms. Page,
Did I ever get the figures on that?
the mic.
Did we get the numbers on it, on both of those?
The numbers on the elderly and disabled tax exemptions, yes, I presented those. I can
Okay.
send them back.
Have to log
I can
them.
send that out. But yes, the Commissioner of Revenue provided.
And the log. You didn't get the login though, did you?
No, we did not get the login numbers on that.
So I'm sorry. Okay. No, I was just going to ask you, are we talking, I didn't realize we were talking about a full exemption on the logging equipment. I thought it was a partial.
What was requested by the Loggers Association was a full exemption. They basically asked to be treated like the
Same as
farmers.
farmers. Okay.
It would still require all the trucks, trailers, and all the road. It's just the equipment's in the wood. But full disclosure, my equipment is my business is in Charlotte City. I'm going to abstain from this. That's why I asked Mr. Hathaway to handle this. Mr. Tiller.
So it would just be the equipment that they use for actually logging, not
logging,
hauling
right.
stuff and, okay.
So I have a question. Since I meet the qualifications for those exempted from personal property tax, can I abstain from that? I'm being serious.
Since you would meet the qualifications for those, can you abstain?
Thank you. No, but for the tax, for the exemption for the, for whatever it is. I don't get it.
It's basically the exemptions we currently offer. It's basically doubling the amount of those exemptions. And I have the total amount, but I don't have them with me today. But I'll send that out to you. By
So
email.
I don't know.
Mr. Hathaway, could you get write up? I mean, I guess assessment from the Commissioner of Revenue. Maybe she could write something up to get her analysis of what this would do, what this would create.
Yeah, in fact, I think that was. Yeah, we'll get that. It's already done. It's.
Is that what? Okay, so that's what you
it was
presented us.
presented, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll just follow up again with her.
No, we discussed it, but we didn't take any action on that. In order to take action, it would require amending our ordinance to do so, which requires a public hearing.
And go in effect when?
July?
Actually,
Okay.
it's not going to be this it's not going to be this tax year because the deadline was May 1st. That's why I didn't rush it, and I wanted us to focus on the budget and getting that done because I didn't present it to you until I believe it was May or the April work session, and we had no time for a public hearing.
All right. Anything else, Ms. Hathaway?
No, that's it.
You're good, right? All right. Do appointments by district. District 2,
No, sir.
District 3,
No, sir.
District 4 has none, District 5,
No, sir.
appointments not delegated by district.
No, sir.
I do have someone that I'd like to appoint to that AFD board, but I need to get with Mr. Hefty first. So bring it to the work session. No, he's a consultant forester. So, all right. Any other board members have anything?
No, sir.
Motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Tiller. Ms. Watkins, poll the members.
Mr. Tiller?
Aye.
Ms. Page? Mr. Steers?
Aye.
Mr. Lockwood?
Aye.
And Mr. Evelyn?
Aye. Adjourn.